pour yourself a glass of wine and get ready for this week's edition of Drinks at 6.
Well, Monica, it looks like it's that time again. Time to pour a glass of wine and chat about some issues that have been on our minds for the past week since our last podcast over cocktails.
Yes,
Yeah?
it is
How
that
was your
time.
week?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Thanksgiving just 2 weeks ago.
I went full into turkey coma.
Did you?
What's the drug again? The tryptophan. No.
Oh,
What is it in turkey? Yeah.
in turkey.
That knocks
in
you
turkey.
out in turkey. Not in turkey.
It's an enzyme of
the
some sort. No, it does give you the turkey coma. Okay, did you have any family drama? Because I think long weekends and Thanksgiving are meant for drama, aren't they?
Well, you know what? I'm so grateful the drama didn't happen because on the way up to our family cottage, my mom and I were listening to CBC. And they had an etiquette expert come on and talk about how are you going to handle Thanksgiving because of the election coming up and how to handle it if, discussions get heated. Mm-hmm. So one of the things they said was, you know what you need to do? You need to divert the conversation. So if you, Jacqueline, were speaking to somebody else and you were pro whatever, and it was getting heated, I would say to you, so Jacqueline, let's talk about Johnny's grade 6 graduation. How did that go or whatever?
Yeah.
So that was the joke the whole weekend. Whenever somebody started talking about politics and it got a little too heavy, somebody else would say, hey, how was Johnny's grade 6 graduation? And it shut it down.
And then everyone was like, there's no Johnny here. But then everyone goes looking for Johnny because they think you lost him. He doesn't exist, but you're off the politics topic. Yeah.
But in the meantime, we've all voted, I should hope.
I should hope, because if you don't vote, you can't complain. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's right.
And we won't even get into who we voted for. Why? Because there we go in that conversation. So, because you and I have not so secretly agreed that we prefer bacon over chocolate, I made a little treat for us today. So I brought out these. What do you think? What do they look like? I'm not going to tell you what they are.
They look like the most delicious thing I've ever seen in my life because they're wrapped in bacon. You didn't sneak any sweet stuff in there, did you?
No, God, I wouldn't ruin it.
Good girl.
No, those are cream cheese stuffed jalapenos wrapped in bacon. I'm sure there's like a more eloquent, quick way of saying that, but those bacon-wrapped jalapenos. Ha-ha. That's what they are.
I'll tell you one thing. I know what Thanksgiving dinner is going to be next year. Why waste time with the turkey when you can have bacon?
Just put a little turkey face on it, and there you go. A little tail. Okay, so we're going to eat those today, and you have to tell me what you think, honestly.
Okay.
Because my brother-in-law and sister-in-law always make them. They're delicious, and I took a crack at it on my own. But I've been craving bacon since Thanksgiving, or even since like every podcast it's always seem to talk about. All right, so we've got a cool podcast today. I think we got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. But I think just for you, our listeners, if you need a bathroom break or need to go get more wine, just so you know what's coming up, we're going to talk about the impostor syndrome. That's been floating around the internet lately, and it's really interesting to see who is afflicted by the imposter syndrome, aside from myself and you. We're going to talk about female empowerment and how the media is treating it, and what we sort of think about empowerment, and if the media is really hitting the nail on the head with the message that they're sending to young girls and girls in general. So I think we'll kick it off with a glass of Massi Bonacasta Valpolicella. Does that sound really Italian? It would not be offensive to someone who actually can speak Italian. Okay.
Forgive us.
Valpolicella.
I thought that was a nice accent.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I feel so Sophia Loren when I do that. Okay, so let's talk about imposter syndrome. I thought that was really interesting when I read that article that I sent to you, because it has, obviously, as you and I both know, it's happened to us. But just for you listeners, this one is, that feeling when you're in a job, or you're a new job, or you're in a situation where you're pitching on a project, or you tell someone you're going to take something on, or you're going on stage and you're about to speak, And then you think, WTF, like, what did I commit to? I don't even think I can do this. Like, and then you start worrying, like, what if they find out that I can't do this? And you're totally, all of a sudden, you put yourself on this level that you're incompetent, even though you went in full on, you know, positive that you could teach this class, take this job, do this speech, and then you're just struggling with all of this anxiety and self-doubt. So that is called the Impostor Syndrome. And it's that kind of feeling, you know, where you think, like, especially in a new job, that sooner or later, they're going to find you out. They're going to kick your ass out the door.
You're going to go to the principal's office.
You're going to go to the principal's office. You're going to get your walking papers. Something's going to happen, right? Like, you just don't feel like you could possibly be as good, you know, or as competent as you said you were, when really you are. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things that I found out about it is that we do not suffer silently and alone. And in the latest book about this, about the syndrome, some successful people who have admitted to having this, my all-time idol, Tina Fey, Sheryl Sandberg, and Maya Angelou. So, you know what? Like, those women, I just have them on
Angelou.
Yeah, I know. I have them on a huge pedestal, and I'm thinking, oh, don't be ridiculous. Like, you actually set the bar for, you know, the things that we try to achieve. So, well, for me, for some of them. So they've all openly admitted feeling it at some point during their careers, and I love that I think it was Tina Fey said the beauty of the imposter syndrome is you vacillate between extreme egomania and a complete feeling of, I'm a fraud, oh my god, they're onto me, I'm a fraud. So she says to write out the egomania when it comes and enjoy it, and then slide through the rest of the fraud. So
love it.
I thought this was interesting because, you know, we can go on and on about examples of it, but you just arrived here this evening from a public speaking gig.
I did.
So I want to know
fraud that I am.
the fraud that you were. How did you do, imposter?
Well, I did. In my mind, I did fantastic. I feel so good about it. But leading up to it, not so good. So I was called a few months ago about this, and it was a paid gig. And when they were talking to me on the phone about payment, I thought, oh, are you kidding? I have to pay you to speak?
Jeez. We got to work on that.
We got to work on that self-esteem. So that was number one. And then when I found out that they wanted to pay me, and I mean, the sum of money for 15 minutes was pretty mind-blowing. For, you know, if I had that as an hourly rate, I'd be quite happy. But so anyway, I thought about what I wanted to say and made some notes. And oh my goodness, Jacqueline, I, like, the 2 nights before, I was at the cottage with my husband, and I said, I cannot believe these people want me to do this. First of all, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't reached a level of success yet where I can inspire other people. I'm still figuring stuff out. I have days where I've struggled. Like, this is not an easy ride, and it's going to come off so negative, and they're all going to walk away never wanting to have their own business. And he looked at me and he said, can I ask you a really serious question? I said, sure. And he goes, is it going to be your lady time soon?
Whoa. Where did
Anyway, he was right. He knew.
Oh my god, where did you hide his body?
Combine PMS with, you know, the
fear and
anxiety. Fear, the black hole, all that. I should know that I go into black hole syndrome. And so what ended up happening was the night before, I thought, I'm going to do as little preparation as possible because I want to be off the cuff. I want to be honest. I spent 10 minutes writing down points on what I wanted to touch on, and never really looked at them once, and spoke from my heart, talked about my dad, talked about meeting Olivia Newton-John, talked about losing my dad and meeting Olivia all in the same week was like tragedy meeting, you know, my biggest dream. And had tears in my eyes, and so did the audience, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. This is amazing. and I want to do more of it. And I know that the next time I have to do it, I'll go through the fraud thing again.
Well, I mean, you got that runner's high.
Yeah.
After.
The adrenaline kick is good. And you know what you're saying about ego, too. It's so important to remember that. Like, just forget about what people are saying about you, whether it's good or it's bad, because good is feeding the ego and bad is feeding the ego. If you're living your purpose and you're happy with what you've done, that's what matters, because there's an audience for everything. Some people will look at that talk I did today and maybe say, yeah, you know what, I didn't get much out of her. Like, and other people will think, I've never even heard that way of thinking before. Like, you never know. And obviously it's about delivering something valuable to people, but it's also 90% of it is about being true to yourself, because once you accomplish that, you can do anything.
Yeah. I like that. No, I like your point about, you can feed into your ego with the negative and the positive, right? Like, you can. Your ego is fed either way. It is an ongoing eating machine. And you kind of create that reality, so the more negative you feed it, that's where your ego's going to be at. And the more positive you feed it, that's where your ego's going to be at. And I think where some people struggle is the fine balance. And, I'm not saying you constantly have to do things to humble yourself, but I do know people who, I swear to God, don't have a negative thought in their head because their egos are so big that they're almost preposterous, where, they need to maybe pull them back a little. But my ego takes a beating from me most of the time. So I think I could, I err it the other way. So I need to bring it a little bit back to middle.
Yeah.
But good for you for doing that, because I do find, like whenever we're shooting video or something for a client, we usually put the record button on before the client even knows, or the actor or whatever, because the best stuff that we get is that first take when people don't really think about it. And that's when their truth comes out. And they say the best things. Those are the best sound bites because they're very authentic and from the heart. And then when they do it a few times, then you start to hear a little bit of that rehearsed, practiced sort of messaging.
Yes.
And so I think your idea of going on to the stage and not having a lot prepared is great. I mean, do you remember, well, I remember one of your first public speaking gigs was when I launched Drinks at 6.
Yeah.
And that night was a gong show because everything was set up. I had notes, I had slides, that room was huge. There was about 120 people at the party, and the mic went out, remember?
Yes, I remember that.
And I just looked at this.
And we've had mic problems ever since.
We have!
That's
Yeah.
We have to stop creating that.
Oh my gosh, and do you think that our negative energy is making our
We
mic a
got
fraud?
a thing.
Yeti,
We have a thing
you're
about
an
microphones.
imposter. It's not us, it's you.
Yeah, Yeti.
You, Magic Mike. But I remember, that was just the kickoff of the whole event, too. And I was talking about all the different sections on this site where they were meant to be and who they were talking to, blah, blah. And I put those notes together forever, and that damn mic wouldn't go on. And I remember looking at that room, throwing all my notes away, and just talking off the hip. And it was
amazing.
Great. It was fun. Because you know what? All of a sudden I wasn't following something. I was actually in the moment. I was in the present. And I had to talk about, if anyone came up to me on the street, what's your website about? And it wasn't rehearsed. And it probably was shorter, too, because I didn't have 11 pages of notes.
Right. And really, when you think about it, well, you know what they say, artists, musicians, creative people especially talk about it because they're so in tune to it. I bet you accountants have it too. But when you're doing what you love, you go into a zone, and that zone feels like the most zen place. You don't feel time. You don't feel anything. You just feel like you're in this groove, right?
Yeah.
And when you're up there and you're speaking to people, you want them to come into your groove with you.
Yeah.
So I feel like the more that you prepare and the more you show whatever statistics or how-tos, all this kind of thing, it's not really helping.
No.
You got to make people fall in love with you. They need to feel like, oh my God, I understand this person, and I I have that fear, I have that anxiety, they feel a commonality, and then from there they'll go, oh yeah, and what do they do, by the way? And then they'll go on your website and they'll figure their way around and they'll understand your business. But, somebody said once, I can't remember who the quote was, but
probably me. Was it really
I think
profound?
It was probably you.
Yeah, probably me.
Yeah. I gotta pull it
Not Maya Angelou. Just, yeah.
The Jacqueline Parker Court book of quotes. But it was nobody ever remembers what you said. They remember how you made them feel.
That actually was Maya Angelou. I bet you $1 million. I'm pretty sure it was.
Should have done my research ahead of time, Jack.
Damn. Well, you know what? You're
Gotta
better when
look
you're
that
winging
up.
it.
We'll post it.
So how's Johnny doing in grade 6 grad? Whoa, diversion. By the way, that last popper, I don't know if anyone heard this in the mic, I just ate 2. They're damn delicious.
Yeah,
that one is yours.
Down.
And I made it especially for you because it's 2 pieces of bacon wrapped around that baby.
Okay, well, I mowed down 3 when you were talking. And
I am wearing the all-you-can-eat Lululemon pants.
All right.
Stretch.
I got the all-you-can-eat Brenda Badome dress on and my tights with a hole in it because I wanted to show a little bit of starving artist when I did my...
And hidden under the dress. That was such a great
very
idea.
subtle.
Meanwhile, you have
Somebody
all
buy
your
me some pantyhose.
bling glam jewels on that look amazing. They're like, yeah, poor you. Imposter.
Yes. Jacqueline, while I was at the conference, I was discussing bacon with somebody.
Of course.
Because I wanted to. And they said to me, I love bacon. And I asked the question, if you were presented with a plate of chocolate or a plate of bacon, what would you pick? And she said, well, actually, I'm allergic to chocolate, so I'd pick the bacon. And I said, well, I'd pick the bacon, even though I'm not allergic to chocolate. And she said, well, then you must try this. I've never had it, but I've heard great things about it. She said, dice up bacon really, really fine, fry it up, and then pour in, or not pour, I guess melt in some chocolate. And then let it solidify.
Ew, with the bacon grease?
She didn't say anything about draining the grease, but it's probably not a bad idea.
Feels wrong.
I know, that feels like a heart attack recipe waiting to happen.
Why would you do that to bacon?
I don't know. That was my
But I'm not going to lie to you.
You're going to try it next time?
If I ever know when my womanly time of the month is happening, because it could be 6 months, it could be 2 weeks. Thank you, perimenopause. When the hormones strike, I'm actually probably going to try that.
I love it.
That sounds so gross. It's probably good.
I know.
Salty, sweet, savory.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Might be, yeah.
Okay, and if I do try it, I will Instagram it. By the way, all you listeners, we're not sure how many of you there are because you never send us comments. We're lonely. Poor us. Monica's got a hole in her tights. We want to know how we're doing. Are we imposters? Are we frauds? Do you like bacon? Do you drink wine? Did you whip your bra off to listen to this one? Send us comments or emails. Send us love. Sharing is caring. We want to hear from you. But also, when you're out on a great girls' night or just see something really fun that you think that just any girl would be interested in, hashtag it, Instagram it, and hashtag it at Tipsy at 6 or Drinks at 6 because it'll show up on our page and then it'll give us something fun to look at and maybe even talk about. So anyway, I'm going to post the link to this article. Of course, it was in the Huffington Post, and but there is this book that I haven't read, and I think I'll add it to my list of books to stack up on my nightstand that I will eventually get to. But it is interesting, like this whole thing that, we're not alone. That some women completely at the top are feeling this. Mm-hmm. So, we've got to give ourselves a kick in the butt, or maybe we have to journal this stuff like Tina Fey says, and just, love the moments when you're riding the egomania and just kind of try to read your notes about how great you felt when you're in the lower periods that you maybe feel like you just can't do it.
And I think, too, people, don't be afraid to make mistakes because that's what makes you human. And people love that. Even for me, watching the other speakers before I had to go up, when they made a little fumble and they had a little giggle about it, that relaxed me so much.
And
I think it would relax me as an audience member, even if I wasn't getting up to speak. Because you just go, okay, yeah, they're
That's
a real
relatable.
person. Yeah.
I think, that's so true, because you want to know that someone's human that's talking to you. Mm-hmm. Because again, you can't really absorb that information if you don't believe the source. So somebody who does that, plus also with mistakes, it's how... It sounds like, I feel like I'm a mom saying this, but it's really true. Like, if you don't make mistakes, there's nothing to learn from.
That's exactly right.
So, by the way, we're like all pro confidence right now, but I want to know if anybody really was an imposter and got caught out on it.
Yeah.
Like, did you
Any
take
frauds
on a
out
job?
there?
Did you take on a speaking gig? Did you take on something that was out of your league, but you went for it anyway, and good for you? But did you actually trip and fall? I want to hear about that, too, because that's something you can learn from.
Yeah, that's definitely
It's also something we can laugh
great
about
question.
with you, not at you. So I want to just tell you before we go to the next topic. My daughter, my 4-year-old little bundle of joy, is giving me nothing but sass these days. I think I told you if I'm ready to put her on eBay. Anyway, last week, after our trip to Value Village, where we absolutely had to get a Batgirl costume, which isn't actually a Batgirl costume. I don't really know what the hell it is, but it's something with like a pink mask, and it's got, I don't even know. I don't even know. I can't even explain it. There's glitter and there's a cape. So it's superhero, which I love. And I said to her, so what's your, superheroes all have a power and they help people.
Oh, boy.
What are you? She said, I am the defender of butterflies.
Oh, my goodness.
Because you know how they all need bodyguards.
The monarchs do.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe she's learning about the monarch.
Oh, maybe she is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, she's in J Chaos over there. I don't know what she's learning. I probably should tune in a little, but or read the stuff they send home. Yeah, that would be my mom. I don't. Well, half the time she stuffs it in her knapsack, as 4-year-olds are wont to do, in a big bundle of garbage. So when I take it out, I think it's garbage, and I throw it out, and then I'll open it, and I'll be like, "Oh, a letter from the principal."
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So anyway, the next topic I wanted to bring up with you, and I sent you the link for this, and I'll post it with the podcast. Right now, there's this article in Business Insider, I believe, that talks about how a lot of advertisers, a lot of brands are really going after women and girls and trying to encourage them to sort of empower themselves, right? Like there's the Think Like a Girl campaign. I believe that's always. There's Dove, Inner Beauty, and Dove. I think Dove does a stupendous job of it. Because it's sort of all ages, but it also, I think, when you capture women at an older age and we realize the significance and importance of it, it encourages and inspires us to then pass that on to women at a younger age. So I really, I love what Dove is doing, and I think the Always stuff is great. I wanted to bring this up because this whole idea of, I am a little jaded by the fact that brands are doing it, and although it does fall under branded content, content that we can use, I hate when stuff is masqueraded to sell a product. So, there is a little bit of that departure of believability. However, I do feel like some of those brands, like Dove, are really aiming to go that direction, where they want to be. That's what they want their brand to be associated with, and really help with that movement. I think you can, if you have that kind of influence and power and money behind you, you can inspire a movement. So, yes. I'm all for that. However, I'm just going to kick this off with my own opinion about it. One thing I think that's missing in all that messaging is some tools for empowerment that I feel that even though they're saying, like a girl is shows how you kick, can you play, what things are you told you can't do, blah, 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 blah. I think we're still sort of enforcing that gender inequality by even making it an issue for them. They might be great at soccer, but if you say to them, are you ever held back because you're a girl or whatever, you're kind of reinforcing that message even in even in a negative way or like the opposite way. Well, I have no real words for that, but
I understand. Yeah.
But I sort of think, just take the gender issue right out when you're empowering them. And I was thinking about what I will do with my daughter, and I don't think it will have anything to do with boys and girls and the differences. And right now, Maddie's coming home and saying stuff like boys can't wear dresses and girls can't do this, and I'm saying sure they can. That's ridiculous. Who's telling you this stuff? Anybody can do whatever anybody wants. It's nobody's call, etc. And I mean, I know within reason that that's true, but I want her to understand that the real empowerment is not being afraid to say when something bothers her, when she wants to speak her mind, when she doesn't agree, even if it's with a teacher. I want her to be empowered to show her self-confidence and to keep growing that confidence, because it is a known fact that girls are most confident when they're in their up to 10 years old. That's when their confidence peaks, and then it goes down from there. So I think what we need to do is look at what's making them confident and keep building on that, and speaking their minds and not being afraid to stand up for themselves. Those are the things I think are empowerment. And it's great to say you can play any sport that a boy does and whatever, but I think it's more important to just keep them going with that notion that they should embrace their passion. They should try anything. They, say no to nothing that you want to do, and not take no for an answer when people tell you can't. I mean, outside of the law, mummy's rules.
Go rob that bank for your mother. You don't have to be a boy to rob a bank.
Be a loving. Go take that money off that old man. But I just, I want her to even talk about her thoughts that might not be popular. Just not being afraid to speak her truth. And to me, that's what I feel like our podcast is. Maybe the wine helps, but not being afraid to speak our minds. And you and I took a big potential nosedive the other week when we talked about a very unpopular topic with the hall pass or the having the affairs. And not that we supported it. We didn't, but that we were able to kind of communicate a little more of a neutral attitude towards it, which may or may not be popular. You and I both felt really good after that. Sort of felt like, you know what? I don't have to hate this because society hates this. I don't have to support this because society. This is how I feel. Exactly. And I felt better after that. And
Me too.
I mean,
I did. I felt very apprehensive and scared before it went on.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I think we expressed ourselves quite eloquently. It wasn't.
We did. And all our 3 listeners heard it?
Yeah, my mom loved it.
Wayne?
Yeah.
And my mom.
And my mom listens to CBC, so she's like a harsh critic.
So she likes CBC. She likes our podcast. But anyway, just to wrap up that, I feel that empowerment goes further than telling them not to compare themselves against boys, which is further comparing them to boys. I think it's removing their expectations that they have to act within parameters that we grew up with and our moms grew up with, which were be nice, be polite, be a young lady.
That's right. I challenge you on your opinion on this, by the way.
Oh, crap. I did not see that coming.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to make me repeat this in 8 years
cry.
with Maddie? Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Right here, and I don't even know.
See your lady time coming?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm pouring more wine. I can't think about that.
The only thing I challenge you with is, I would say I agree 85 to 90% with everything that you have said and what's written in that article. Well, that's 2 separate things. But anyways, the article is more about, I know you're debating what they're saying about, why are we looking at this as a gender thing? Like, why don't we just let these girls know that they can do anything and not make it about gender? But I ask you this, Jacqueline, do you not find now, being, in our 40s and, having had boyfriends and experience with men as friends and everything else, that it's good to know the difference between a man and a woman, and it's good to
for
also,
sure.
yeah, like that's the only part where I get kind of like when you talk about Maddie feeling empowered. When I think of myself, even at 10 years old, I know Maddie's a lot younger, I think it would have empowered me if somebody had sat down and said to me, you know what, and again, this sounds like a generalization, but boys are like this, girls are like this. Boys can do girls things, girls can do boys things, but sometimes they don't want to, and sometimes it's okay to let a boy be a man in a do you know what I mean? Like, if, for instance, like my husband, he does the laundry, he does the cleaning, he does stereotypically women jobs at home, right? Mm-hmm. But if he ever saw me outside shoveling the driveway, he would be mortified. That is like the worst thing I could do. And it doesn't have anything to do with him thinking I'm not capable.
Right.
It has everything to do with him feeling that that's a responsibility that he has as the man. And I could say to him, you know what? I'm in way better shape than you. Like, I ride my bike, I work out. I can bloody well go out there for a workout and shovel the driveway if I want to. But I think I'm woman enough to know that there are things that I like to make me feel more like a woman. I don't always want to feel like I can do it all. Or I don't always want to feel like I have to do it all. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I think it can be a very healthy thing when you let a man be a man and a woman be a woman. And it's very complicated. Like, I never read that book. What was that book everybody's reading? Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars, or
Don't
whatever.
read it. The guy was divorced 3 times.
Oh,
come on.
I never read that.
Dr. Gray or whatever.
Yeah, but you know, and I think my parents growing up too, my dad was the man, my mom was the woman, but my mom worked, and my dad really valued that and was very proud of her. He didn't feel like diminished as a man because his wife had to go out and work.
Yeah.
But then my mom wouldn't have touched the barbecue, right? Like, and I'm not saying that women shouldn't touch the barbecue. I'm just saying that when you come together with a person, you may find that these things happen, and not to confuse that with somebody trying to disempower you. Sometimes it's just...
True. Okay.
Right? I don't know.
I see your argument, and I raise you.
Yes. Raise me. Good.
And if you don't understand you're kicked out of the girl cave, and you can leave your wine and bacon behind, lady.
By the way, I invited Greg to come in later.
Okay, so I have to tell you, every Tuesday night is girls' night because Greg is out playing pool, and so it's just Maddie and I. And we have a little song that Maddie made up. And it's very complicated. I don't want to get any rock bands jealous out there, but it goes like this. Girls' night, everyone is here.
That's so cute. Oh my God. Trademark copy. We just copywritten that.
No one take that song. Anyway, she made that song up, and it was really cute, and she sings it every week. And
Can we get a recording and put it on?
We'll have to get it. Yeah. I just,
that's so
as soon as she
cute.
sees me with any mobile device in my hand, she shuts down. She's like, I am not giving out free interviews. So, well, you've met her. She's a pill sometimes.
Okay, raise me, girl.
So I'm raising you. I get what you're saying. I totally agree. But I think that if you raise a girl to be empowered and confident, in that, you know, I can do anything. Mm-hmm. And if she ends up by not meeting someone, she will do the barbecue. She will frame a new house. She will, you know, whatever. She has all the tools. But empowerment is confidence. And so when she gets into a relationship and enters a relationship with a partner, man or woman, she will feel confidence enough to let certain things go and let there be equality, you know, between the two of them in tasks. And you know what, if he feels, or, you know, she feels that she needs to be the one who always does this, I don't care. I'll give that up because I'm confident. I'm not I'm not giving up something that's taking power away from me. That's, to me, what empowerment is just having that innate ability and confidence and not feeling like you constantly need to hold on to power. So
what you're telling me is I'm perfect because you just gave me the nicest compliment.
That's what I have to go back and play this podcast. Did that just happen? Okay.
You're so sweet.
You know what? You're so lucky I can't edit the night movie. It is a compliment to you because I think that where empowerment, like, or where power becomes a problem is when people don't feel that they have any, and then they try to have extreme control of it, and they can't let anything go. Right?
Exactly.
So I think we're probably saying the same thing, but it just sounds better when we argue. So
yeah, I think we're on the same track.
Or I don't think we're saying different things. I think we just elevated that to like a whole different conversation. But I think that if you are raised to feel that you can do, you can like clean, you can cook, you can barbecue, you can build, whatever. But it doesn't mean it's your job to always do any of those things. And then you enter a relationship and you're fine to find some balance. Yeah. However you need to do that. But it's balance that you find because of respect for each other, not because that's a gender role and that's a gender role.
And you don't get into the, my husband won't let me or my wife won't let me or, that's the part. I had a good friend I used to work with back in my Canada Post days. His name was Angus McGilvery, if he's out there. And he'd always say to me, and it was when Wayne and I were first kind of getting serious, and I'd always confide in Angus, and I don't know if you know this about me, I'm a bit of a control freak.
No.
And he would say to me, he called me Mona. He'd go, for God's sakes, Mona, it's a partnership. It's not an ownership.
That's so true.
Yeah.
But I do know couples where that is a very prescribed thing in their relationship. There are we have roles too. I think they come more out of necessity and time. Although I know that, Greg likes to do a lot of the, like, shoveling, whatever. I'm like, go for it. But I'm not doing your laundry. So I don't do his laundry. I do my laundry, the house laundry, and Maddie's laundry. But I don't do his laundry. But I also work full-time, and I think this idea that women have these feminine roles, that's kind of out the window now because those roles for women were when women stayed at home. So I'm working full-time. Why am I doing all the cleaning?
That's right.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why am I doing the lion's share of raising our child? And I'm not saying I am. I'm saying, why would that be expected of me when we both have the same day and we both come home to the same situation?
Yeah, that's right.
So I think
isn't it interesting?
That one out the window.
And it's so interesting. Like, you wonder how, I know there was a lot of crap going on back in, the 30s, 40s, 50s, well, way back, but how marriage was, the business of marriage in those days was set up that the men that went out and they earned the money, and the woman's side of the business was to make sure that the household was functioning, children were taken care of. So they were both working full time to keep life and everything moving in a way that worked, right? And it's sort of surprising to me sometimes how we ever got into this feminism, men and women are not equal, because it is equal. Like, how is working full time at a job any different than being at home with children and taking care of a household? Like,
I think it's because
one doesn't have a pay. There's no money being but if there was no such thing as money, there maybe would have never ever even, nobody ever would have said, well, men are superior to women, or it's just.
We still have the issue where women do the same job in a company as a man and still make less money. Like it seems archaic to me that women still, in this day and age, have a glass ceiling. Like, I don't even know how that exists, but, I think, like, this is part of my issue with raising Maddie, to learn that don't tell her about glass ceilings. Don't tell her about limitations. Let her go forth like they're not there and support her in that belief. And then maybe when she hits one, she just won't recognize it and she'll just go right through it.
Exactly. That's right.
my hope.
That's amazing. That is such good parenting because
I know, I'm an amazing parent.
You are.
Are you in awe of me?
I'm totally in awe of you. We
Although,
surrogate child.
okay, so like I took my kid to school this morning with no shoes, but anyway, otherwise,
You're teaching her. She doesn't need
just-
school
exactly.
shoes, man.
Don't be bound by shoes.
You can go barefoot.
If we had no money, you
cares
would have
if
had
it-
shoes anyway. The Neanderthals didn't have them.
Oh God, that's funny. But you know what? You're not placing your insecurities and your stories and your crap onto your kid, right? Like all this stuff that you've been pre-programmed with, you're making a conscious effort not to transfer that onto Maddie, which in turn breaks a cycle, which is awesome. But the other thing too, and again, can't remember where I read it, but at the time, you know, I thought it was pretty amazing. This mother wrote about her son who had Down syndrome, and he said to his mom, there are 25 children in my class and I want to give each of them a Valentine. And he wrote each one out a Valentine. He came home and he did not have one Valentine from anybody. And she was devastated. And she said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Mommy, all those children, they loved my Valentines and they were so happy. This was the best day I've ever..." He didn't even notice that he didn't get one back. That isn't even what it was about, right? And that's exactly what you're doing with Maddie. Like,
Well, I'm telling you, if she comes home with no Valentine,
you're gonna kick
I'm
some.
gonna
Well,
kick
you're gonna
some
go
serious
call
ass
Roger
on this
and all these
street.
other callers.
Yes, Roger. Well, actually, her and Roger are just friends now.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
The relationship
And
is taking a turn.
I do believe Foster is still her boyfriend, but she did tell me not to be ridiculous the other day. Roger's just a friend, Mummy. She's 4. I just feel like I don't even think I knew these words when I was 4. But anyway, yeah, Roger's just a... No, actually, I'm lying because Roger's back in the picture as of Tuesday this week. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's back in the picture. She did announce that they're back on. So, anyway, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
We gotta keep up with this.
I need to do an Excel spreadsheet.
Definitely. But we need to get that song copywritten.
Yeah, we do, because it's going to be a big hit.
And speaking of copyright, some people have some very interesting words that they...
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
Monica's weekly word. This should be interesting, because I would like to know if you ever, when you do this, figure out the proper phonetics, because I feel I'm being duped. Like, you're saying, like, tomato could be 2 different things from someone who doesn't know the word.
That's true.
Yeah, so...
Well-
but I did score the last 2 weeks. I was... Beard side, bind side, burn.
Oh,
burn
God.
sides, burn
Yeah.
sides.
Yes, Burnsides you did very
And then
well with.
Titty nitty or
Titty
something.
pull. Titty...
poo. What? I don't even want to finish what I was going to say. Titty nipply.
Titty nope.
Titty nope. Yes, and I think I was almost... Was that the one I got?
No, it wasn't titty nope. Well, you kind of did get that one, but...
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one I think
Maybe?
you got.
Okay.
God, too
Burn
much
sides,
wine,
I
man.
was close.
Brain cells, rejuvenate, please.
Here, drink more
Okay,
wine.
well, you better be ready for this one, girl.
Okay, I'm
'cause
ready. Ready.
I'm going to say it in an English, a British accent.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Blatherskite. Or blatherskite.
Skite?
Yeah.
Spell skite. Mm-hmm. Can you spell it?
Skite. That's cheating, by the way.
Yeah, because I have this huge background in Latin. Blatherskite?
Skype. Skype.
Okay. Okay, so
Do you
take
know what
us
the
away.
words mean?
No.
Do you know what the word
Nobody
means?
knows
It's
what
one
that-
word.
Is it Scottish?
I don't know where it comes from, but it's a
Okay,
great
I
word.
got it.
Please use it in a sentence. Thank you. For those people.
In Scotland, there is a triangular plot of land on the Blathers Field known as Blatherskite.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Interesting. Wrong.
Okay, you have to use it in a sentence.
Oh boy,
Sorry,
I know. I always forget about that part that I have to use it in a sentence.
It's not a plot of land shaped like a kite.
Whenever,
by the Blathers?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to be political here.
Oh, go.
Whenever I see DT on television, the Trump man, with his lovely hairdo, and he speaks. Hang on, I'm getting there with the sentence.
So far.
I think this man is a blatherskite. I can't follow what he's saying. That's pretty good.
Okay, so is blatherskite then a representative of reality TV with lots of money and no brains?
No, but
hair.
that's a good
Bad
one.
hair.
And bad hair. It's a representative. It's a person I'm going to add in with really bad hair who talks at great lengths without making much sense.
There's a word for that. Are you kidding me? There's a word for that?
Yeah.
Really?
A person who talks at great lengths without making much sense.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you meant with bad hair.
Oh, no, that was an add-in.
Oh, Jesus.
But there we go.
Okay.
No, there's no bad hair.
So if anybody ever reads a Wikipedia entry done by Monica, don't take it to heart. So it's not someone with bad hair who blathers on. It's just somebody who blathers on and says nothing.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm going to be using that one.
Blatherskite. Yeah.
I
think I said it wrong. I said blatherskite.
You did.
Blatherskite. Blather. No, blabbers. It's not blathers.
Probably something else like Blather's Kitty or something. You just said it wrong. Okay. I still think I should get a brownie point
I
for
do too.
creativity.
Here, have a double wrapped bacon. I'm taking that home for a midnight snack. By the way.
Okay, but maybe you have to give it to Uncle Wayne. I'm
Maybe.
really disappointed that you're not eating your fourth one. I did 4 each. I want to sort of wrap up tonight with our last topic. This is something my therapist tells me to do, my husband tells me to do when I'm angry at him.
Oh.
And I'm sure my kid would like me to do.
I've got notes on that one too, girl.
Okay, so it's called Breathe.
Yeah. Pulling up the notes on that one.
The reason, I just want you to know that a lot of the inspiration for my outstanding wisdom and insight is my Bible. 40 Things to Do When You Turn 40.
Oh, yeah.
And I love this book. My dear friend Trish Kavanaugh gave it to me when I turned 40, and I think I talked about this a million times in another podcast, but I actually didn't read it because I thought it was chicken soup for the 40-year-old soul, so I tossed it. And then I read it, I picked it up like a couple of years ago, and realized it was all these experts and professionals writing essays about life in your 40s, things that we learn and need to sort of pay attention to, and it's phenomenal. So anyway, I love this book. Part of my problem is that when I get into a situation, whether it's at work or with my husband or my kid or my family or life or the corner store or whatever, I'm not usually present in the moment because my mind is somewhere else. I'm either writing my next article or I'm something. I'm somewhere. Or I've already
airlifted yourself into another dimension.
Or I've already scripted what my husband's saying even before he said it, and I'm already fighting with him even before we're fighting. You know,
I love doing that. I love those fights. When you know what they're going to say.
I am psychologically economical. I am already having the fight so we don't have to. I'm already mad at him without him having to actually do anything to get me mad. I save everybody time, which I think makes me amazing. But anyway, the reason I brought this up is because I'm going to go talk to my therapist. We talk about staying in the moment, being present. And we've talked about this before, but in this particular essay about keeping balance in your life, the whole, of course, topic is keeping balance, staying in the moment, what that does for you. So this one by Diana Winston, she says, mindfulness is about bringing attention into the present moment. It's about being with things exactly as they are with a kind and non-judgmental attention. So when you can do that, then apparently you can handle the situation a lot better. You can see it for what it is as opposed to inflicting it with all of your prescribed notions and your beliefs and your perceptions and your anticipations, right? Which always muddies up a situation. Mm-hmm. So basically her advice is to really just slow down, contemplate what's going on, and check in with what's true, like with yourself. Just like breathe.
Yes.
Breathe. Shut your friggin' mouth and breathe. And then just sort of connect with your surroundings and allow yourself to really identify with what's actually going on. Now, I think that's great advice. Great advice. I cannot do it. I can't do it. I'm always like, yeah, next time this happens, I'll breathe. This time I got no time.
Why do we do that, Jacqueline?
I don't know.
I do that with exercise.
Yeah?
With the 4th piece of bacon. See how I'm trying to control myself?
You are trying, and I don't like it. Because I ate 4 and misery loves company.
Yeah, but hello. I got the double, the quarter pounder over here.
But so. I think that it's important because this is a tough one for most of us. Because you know why we can't do it? Like, in my opinion, we lead a fast-paced life due to our career and family. And the importance of touching base with the mothership, like our hearts and our minds, is critical in maintaining that healthy balance. Yet, it seems impossible to do. Mm-hmm. So why can't you do it?
Same reason as you. I think everything else is more important than me. I actually feel like I'm goofing off, like I'm not doing my homework. And that is homework. Breathing, yoga, exercise. That's the homework to make you powerful in the world. I know that. I'm not stupid. But I act so stupid.
The bacon's making you crazy. It's kicking in.
Yeah.
But when you're in a moment when you're really upset and you know that what will get you out of it is to just sort of breathe and disentangle, how come you can't? What goes through your head?
Well, you know what? Actually, speaking of the Thanksgiving weekend, we had family come, and they came earlier than I thought they would. So I didn't have, like, decompressing time. Oh. And it was all weekend, it was still there, right? Like, it wasn't a horrible feeling, but...
No, I know that feeling.
It was like a weekend at the cottage. All I needed to do was say, you know what, everybody? I'm just going for a little bike ride, and I'll see you in about half an hour. Yeah. I knew that's all I needed. Did I do it? No. Really? I didn't do it. I let myself take that feeling of discomfort, and then I propelled it into, oh my God, I have to do this public speaking thing, which then propelled into, oh my God, I have to follow up with 20 stores, and oh my God, I have 2 shows coming up, and oh my God, I just let it spin and spin and spin into like an insanity. But I don't know why. Like, I honestly, I would love to... Let's get your therapist in here. I don't know why we do that.
Well, I don't know. I think there's probably individual reasons why we don't do it. But I wonder what the answer is into how we can train ourselves to do it. Mm-hmm. Because when I'm really angry, like if I'm really angry at Greg, I think my problem is I want to stay angry. I'm not ready to snap out of it. Like... I'm really angry in the moment, and if someone said to me, in 2 seconds you can get out of this and be happy, I'd be like, no, I need to stay here for a bit.
Yeah, and maybe that's the right way to be. Like, you know, emotions and the way that we feel, that's what makes us who we are, and that's what, you know, just because I always want to be rainbows and sunshine, that works for me, but... You know what? When you're going through anger stuff, that might be fueling you to like, I'm doing this drinks at 6. I'm doing my podcasting. I'm going to write about this. I'm going to, you know, like you might feel really like, no, you know what? Nothing is stopping me. You're like, you need that fire to, and I think that's the thing too. Any kind of energy, one of the girls at the conference today was talking about how fear is your worst enemy, right? And instead of looking at it as an enemy, like you take it and you use it to fuel your next thing. And
I agree more with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's pretty much how people, they look at fear like, oh God, there it is, and I don't want to deal with it. But we have to. We all have it. And I know we're getting off the breathing thing, but...
No, that's okay, because I think that's interesting, because this is also something I want to talk about in another podcast, but the Chinese symbol for crisis is also the same symbol for opportunity. So, like, where fear might feel like a crisis situation, it can also, like she'd said, take it and use it and turn it into an opportunity.
Yes.
God, I'm so profound today.
You are.
Yeah.
Do you want some little tips on what breathing can actually do for you?
Yeah.
You think that'll help?
Will it allow me to stay alive?
Yeah, it will.
Like put oxygens to my blood cells.
It will. Okay. So I will tell you what this man, Dennis Lewis, who leads breathing awareness workshops and is the author of The Tao of Natural Breathing, observes. Most of us take our breathing for granted. The great Taoist sage, let's pronounce this right, Chuang Tzu says that most of us breathe from our throats and that real human beings breathe from their heels. Here's what happens. Breathing oxygenates every cell of your body, from your brain to your vital organs. Without sufficient oxygen, your body becomes more susceptible to health problems. For example, in a study, we won't read all that.
Can't say it.
Yeah, cardiac patients who took 12 to 14 shallow breaths per minute, 6 breaths per minute is considered optimal, were more likely to have low levels of blood oxygen, which may impair skeletal muscle and metabolic function and lead to muscle atrophy and exercise intolerance. In contrast, deep breathing raises levels of blood oxygen, promoting health in many ways, from stimulating the digestive process to improving fitness and mental performance. Alternative health icon Dr. Andrew Weil says, if I had to limit my advice on healthier living to just one tip, it would simply be to learn how to breathe correctly.
Wow. Okay, so two things.
Start breathing.
One is he says, real humans breathe from your heels. So I love that it ties in with our imposter theme. And what was the other one? I can't remember. You said so many things in there. That's interesting because it's true, right? Like if you do breathing exercise, I've tried starting with meditation recently, which is really hard because I set a timer for 10 minutes.
You're like, when the hell is this going to be over?
Are we in this cycle? And I can't look because, that would be so non-meditation-y. And then I find myself getting wrapped up in, I've got all this crap that I have to do after I do this, like, very selfish 10 minutes of meditation.
Yeah.
And, I can't stay focused.
Have you tried hot yoga?
Yes, I did. I almost threw up.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the end of hot yoga.
Well, try it again, Jacqueline, because...
Do you just want me to throw up in a room full of people?
I'd like to be in that class and take a video. No, I didn't like it the first couple times I did it, and I kept hearing all these great things about it. I need to do it again, obviously, but the heat is so distracting and so uncomfortable at first. Mm-hmm. And then once you surrender to it, it just creates miracles. I mean, I know you can have that in regular yoga practice as well, but for people like us that our minds are so distracted, there's something beneficial about that heat. I feel like it almost it stops time, like, and you can be more productive. Things just start flowing. Anyway,
okay.
I don't want you to throw up, but
no,
try it again.
I think you do, but
don't eat any Bacinators before going into yoga.
Bacinators. That's what I'm calling those babies. Well, it's been lovely, and I think we talked about a lot of stuff that, well, I know I had been thinking about it a lot since we met last week. So what a great conversation. What a great podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all the compliments.
And thank you. And you're welcome for all the wisdom I've imparted today. And thank you for that awesome word that you couldn't pronounce. But I just want to invite listeners to weigh in on anything we talked about today or another podcast. And also, if you've got something you have on your mind you want us to talk about, we'd love to chat about it. We're always looking for ideas. We always have wine, so we're always ready to chat. So send in your ideas, and don't forget to Instagram us. Use the hashtag tipsy@6, SIX, and drinks@6. And we will see you next week for our weekly Drinks at 6 podcast. Thanks, Monica. That was a lot of fun. I look forward to next week.